hoping this isn't just recording. I'm sorry if it is. This thing just, yeah, there we go. It records. So I'm sorry if it took a while there for me to talk. Honestly, it's the recording's fault. It sits there and acts like nothing is going on for a long time there. And I wanted to wait until the red light came on. So today's lesson is about PrusaSlicer. So we're going to get into PrusaSlicer. I should probably back out and show you guys where it is. It should be on your desktop. I have that one here. Or you can go to search bar here. And you can type in PrusaSlicer and find it. Now, PrusaSlicer, what they do is they take your STL file, something that you make, and it converts it into what the 3D printer can actually convert, what it can actually print. Okay, and so there's a lot of different features, and I kind of went through some of them with our initial print, but I want to make sure that we're aware of all of them mean. So the first thing is I come up here and I can add something. So let me add, I like the lion head. One day I'll print it. So this is something called Liverpool lion plate, okay? And it goes on doors. It's like the scary thing that's on like fancy people's doors. And you can see here that right there, it's on the plate. You can also see the size right here of how big it is, okay? You can see right here, what the size is. So it's 137.63 and the x-axis. The x-axis is this way from the front. It is 111.092 in the y-axis, which is this way. Okay, going towards the back, front to back. And then the z-axis, it is 51.78 millimeters tall. That is going up. Okay, the z-axis is up. So this is xy. Think of like math class. This is the y, this is the x, and now the z is the 3D aspect of it, and that's going up off the plane. Okay, so I have this guy. So let's go through the buttons here. On the left side, this is the move button. I usually don't use the move button because if you don't use it, you can still just move things. It's not that big of a deal. This guy is your scaling. So there's two ways to scale. You can use the scaler, and I can go, woo, and you can see it turns blue when it goes off the bed. You can't have it go off the actual print bed. So I can make it a lot bigger, or I can make it a lot smaller. Now, obviously, there's size things that we have to worry about with this. Another thing you could change the size, by the way, is over here. You can see the scale factors. This is the percentage. Normal thing when we first started was at 100. If I want to make it bigger, I can make it bigger by 200. That's too big. I can make it 50% bigger, which goes 50% the size of the original. I can do 5. I can do 500 or 5,000. Like you get the point here. Okay. So this is scale. This is also scale down here. This one is rotate. So you can rotate different ways. Usually in 3D printing, we want the biggest flat end possible on the bed. That just makes for it to print the best, and I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so we can rotate this, but this one's already kind of set up. Now I want to teach you a trick. If you rotate inside the circle, it goes by set angles, set parameters. So if I need to rotate it 45 degrees, there we go. 90 degrees, there we go. If I go outside this circle, if I go up here, then I can pick exactly where I want. I can do it by their little smaller ones, or if I go in the middle here, I can pick exactly what angle. Okay, so I have that option. Now, this button is probably one of the more important ones. It picks a flat place to put on the bed. So this is different spots where we can put the bed. Like I could literally push this and it'll put that on the bed and it will print like that. That's not going to be successful. Think about it, the printer. It's going to print from the bottom up. So all of this stuff up here has nothing to print on. It's only going to print that little tiny guy. It's another reason why you want to print the biggest flat side, which is that. Okay, you can play around with it. You know, sometimes it isn't the most obvious way for the best print. Okay, somebody even make an argument that could be the best print if you do it right, but we're typically going to go that way. This button is cut, so I can actually cut out different parts. Say I don't really want the base, I just want the lion head. I can say keep upper part, And now I just have the upper part of the lion head. Okay. And so we can change prints actually in the slicer. So let me delete that, bring back the actual guy here. Down here, this is a preview button. It's going to preview the cuts that's going to do. So this is what it thinks the 3D printer settings that you currently have is going to look like. This is not the set one, just letting you know. This is just the preview. And you can kind of see what the prints can be. So going back here, we'll get to that in a second. Up here, you can add prints. So I can actually add two things. I can add Riley's ghost chain thing to this print. And I can, you know, flip it there. Okay. I can subtract his print, and it subtracts it. I can delete everything by clicking it and pushing delete. One of my favorite ones, the one that you're going to see me use a lot and you're going to use a lot, is, look, Riley's thing is inside the line. That's not where it's supposed to be. But if I push this, it arranges it to the best fit possible to print. So there it goes. They're both in perfect spots now. Okay. And if I delete that one, I hit it again, it's going to center it in the middle. Things print best in the middle. Other things, if I have this, I could copy it and I could paste it. So now I got two. Now I got two on the bed. Okay. I can also add an instance. So it's just adding another one too. It's not really anything technical. This guy splits to objects, which we're really not going to use at all in this class. I also have, I screwed up there. These other settings, honestly, you're not really going to use. Gonna be honest with you. So these are height ranges. So how high something is, that's not that important for us. These are undo, redo buttons, that type of thing. So that's up here. On this side, now we're starting to get more and more and more detailed here. Okay. What we're going to do is, I would like you always to have, honestly, advanced is enough. I'm okay with that. So we have print settings. The smaller the number, the more detailed. Now that might be like, okay, we're always gonna go super detailed. Well, this takes a lot of filament and it takes so much time. And I'll show you an example in a second here. This is the filament here. I usually go generic PLA copy because there's hundreds of kinds of different filaments. We're always gonna use PLA, so might as well just hit PLA. The printer, you guys probably have the MK3S on yours. That's fine. Supports, I'll come back to sports in a second. Infill is how much the interior is actually filled up by stuff. It's not hollow on the inside, but it's not completely full. It's at 25%, what I just set it to. Usually we run anywhere between 0 and 25%. If you're confused which to use, just talk to me. But things that don't need to be nearly as strong, we can go lower. Things that need to be strong, we can go higher. Okay, so I'll go like a 10% here. A brim is just something that puts around the side of the outside. It helps the print to stick. We rarely ever use a brim. I'll show you what it looks like in a second. So this is the settings I have. It looks like this. Now, that shows you what the print's going to look like. Now, there's some colors that we're always looking for. When you stare at something like this, it kind of just looks like random colors. But there's actual important things to this, okay? So what we do is I look around the print, see if everything looks decent, okay? And then I come to this orange guy and I go up and down based on what is going on in the print. Now, what I'm looking for is if I go all the way to the bottom, I'll see that the first layer they put down everywhere, and then it kind of slowly goes up. You can see the infill here. This is the infill at 10%. Only 10% of the inside is going to be filled with plastic where there's nothing facing the outside. The outer walls are always either 3 or 4 layers thick, and then we start doing infill. Yeah, and you can see the infill getting bigger and bigger and bigger as it goes up. What we're looking for is any spots that randomly just pop up out of nowhere that have nothing underneath of it. Okay? Nothing underneath of it. And if I keep looking, I keep looking, I keep looking. If I go this way, it's okay. It's building off something. The big one was the teeth. So if you look here, the teeth, it randomly just starts right here. Actually, that one's not bad. I think that one would actually work in the printer. But these guys are the ones that are crazy. So if you go right here, that is being built in midair. That is going to fail. This line is going to be toothless up top. Okay. We can't have that happen. That's not going to be something that can happen. So we watch it, keep watching, keep watching. So what we have to turn on is supports. Now there's 3 options for supports. It's almost always going to be an everywhere one. Support from the build plate works too, but that means it will only build supports from the plate to the object that needs it. For here, you can't do that. I can't build supports and have it go this way. The supports have to be right underneath the teeth. So I have to put everywhere, and then I slice again. So you can see there's some areas that it says, hey, you need supports for, or it's not going to work. You can see it's even more areas than I thought. And it was these teeth too, I thought. And so overall, those are the things that need the supports. If we keep going down, you'll see that it always gives, after you slice it, some info. It always tells you how much filament it uses. This is grams. Every single roll that we have is 1 kilogram or 1,000 grams. So this uses just over 1/20th of the roll. So I can print about 19 of these in one roll of plastic. Okay, the cost of $1.29, that's not exactly right. I'll explain that in a moment here. Okay, so, and it's going to take 7 hours and 10 minutes. Don't worry about stealth mode. That's more technical. But 7 hours, 10 minutes, 11 seconds. If I didn't have any supports on, I didn't check the time. I'm sorry. So let me do it again without supports. Although it will fail, it should be less time. It doesn't have to make the supports. That makes sense, right? So this is 6 hours, 31 minutes without the supports. So the supports do add time. They also add plastic. It was 62.44 without supports. With supports, sometimes it takes forever. Come on, come on. 64 points. So you can see, I mean, supports don't take up that much filament, but they do take up a decent amount of time. Okay. Now, there's a lot of other things you can do. You can see travel. So this is how the head of the 3D printer is going to travel. When you look at it, though, it makes it look like a mess. Okay. You can also see retractions. That's how the 3D printer is going to pull up and go to the next layer. You can see shells. Okay, shells really just show you what it looks like without the print layer there. So sometimes I have that on, sometimes I don't. Now, there's other things we can do too. I know this is a lot. Most of the time, you guys are really just going to set up the item, go here, print it. And as you get along or go along, you won't need my help. But I want you guys to know where everything is. So print settings here. These are a bunch of things that you're really not going to change. Okay. Not until you get a little bit further along with 3D printers and feel more comfortable. One thing that you can always kind of change, though, is here is the fill pattern of the infill. Like I have it on gyroid right now, which isn't always the best one. Sometimes there's other ones. And what that means is the shapes of the infill on the inside. So I can pick triangle instead. And I'll show you what that looks like. So I picked triangle instead. I have to reslice it. Take them forever, take them forever. And if you go back down to the infill, you can see it's triangles. Remember, it was like that curvy gyroid shape. So sometimes it can actually reduce time depending on what kind of infill you use. If I actually go back to print settings, let's try a different infill. Let's try a grid. That's simple. And now we have a grid instead of triangles. Not very different, but a little. Other things we have here is we have filament settings. This tells us what temperatures are going to be. There's going to be times I always set mine to 70. Now your guys' will auto set to 60. If you want to come in here and make it 70, you're more welcome to in your settings before you slice it. Cost, just so you're aware, per kilogram, these filaments cost about $17 per roll. Okay, and you can change the color. That's not that important. I'm going to be honest with you. So I changed that. Now I can slice, and it'll actually give me the accurate cost since it's out of $17 and it divides it by how much filament you use. This whole thing is going to cost me $1.17. So not the most expensive thing, not the cheapest thing, but $1.17, and sometimes that's worth it. I mean, depends on what you're printing. Okay. Besides that, the printer settings here, never touch these. I don't even touch these. It's not even worth touching. The only thing that we might touch is the nozzle diameter. The nozzle diameter is set to 0.4. That's the nozzles we have on the 3D printer. We do have different sizes, so there's times we might change it. But for now, don't touch it. So this is PrusaSlicer. I hope it makes sense. It's something you got to play with. It's something you got to keep working on. Last year, when I first came to school, I knew nothing about it. And now I feel pretty much like an expert in it. So it takes time. So if you have any questions, let me know. Besides that, I hope this video went well.